That boat over there is a new addition around here. It's quite beautiful. We'll have to find out more about its story at some point. Well, squeezing between $500,000 worth of boats, facing at well over $1 million boat. This is fun. But we're clear. Penta is a 1961 Carvel planked. It's an 1 3/8" red cedar on oak frames, 36 feet, 12.75 ton displacement. It was built by Sathers in New Westminster, built as a gill netting fishing boat, and then converted for liveaboard or cruising. Its current configuration, as it is now, was done with a full rebuild of the transom, the cabin, all of the interior was done, the ballast and the hull planking was refastened and recorked, and then the last owner did some final touches on mechanical, redid the glassing and waterproofing of the cabin. Welcome to Penta's V-berth. It is currently our storage space, and we sometimes lounge here and watch movies, but it's not overly useful right now. It is set up essentially as two twins. The foot of each comes together. I'm not sure it'll come through in camera, but it is quite large here. It's probably close to 9 feet overall length, so more than enough legroom, and we still store stuff at the front. It has an opening hatch, fixed porthole or port light, and that one is opening. Drawers down below, and there is storage underneath. 3 set of stairs, and there is a pocket door which is currently secured for transiting. You come up, you're into the helm space. This is the helm. Hydraulic assisted, so it's when you rotate the wheel, it manually creates hydraulic pressure. This is the Wagner autopilot system, so this is what do they call it, power steering. You can steer that way. Helm controls, throttle, gears. There's our starboard our rudder positioning and tack. This is the ComNav Marine control unit for the autopilot. Our GPS, our instruments, gauges, battery status, one of our 2 VHF radios. That is the second. And we also have a radar system. And then this is a dedicated navigation laptop. Drop down windows, flip forward window, flip up or tip up window there. And in front of that is our hydraulic powered winch. It runs off of the main engine. There is storage at the foot, as well as a bank of drawers on either side. Storage over there as well. That one is our beverage cooler. This one's spare parts and fluids for the engine. Moving back, we have the Galley double sink. Very nice system here. These latch and pull out into full drawers. This so they don't come open while we're underway. It's one on either side. That is our 12-volt refrigerator with a small freezer up top. Good size space with a fiddle. This is a Dickinson Pacifica, or Pacific, I can't remember which way they call it. Pacific, it says right there. This is a diesel stove. It's a cast iron top, so it works a lot like a wood stove. It takes some time to heat up, but it definitely keeps the boat toasty warm. And then we use this the rest of the time for cooking. When we have shore power, we have an induction unit as well that we use. More drawer space. And then the settee. Table drops. We have a cushion for it, so you can use it as a lounge space. Underneath here is where our fuel tank selector is. A little dark there. And then also our coolant reservoir. Have a see-through here to check the coolant levels. These three windows tip out just as these ones do. There's storage underneath there. Under the purple mat on the floor, that is an access hatch to the top of the motor. The motor could, in theory, be pulled out through that way. You'd have to take the roof off the boat, obviously. And forward of that is the access down to the engine room. It tips up, locks into that, and then there's a set of stairs to go down. Alright, moving aft. That's the entry door. This is the electrics. On the right is the 110. On the left is DC. And then down below we have our battery switches, our solar breaker, and our inverter breaker. And then I have a toggle switch and other breakers here. The shore power is only set to a 15. That's one of the updates I need to make before winter comes. There is a Bluetooth radio up front. These are the speakers for it. And it's, as Anna describes it, it feels like a little cabin in here. The wainscoting, I think you would call it, whatever the groove paneling is quite nice. And I have the blinds closed right now because it's too bright. But even with all of the blinds closed on a sunny day, it's still bright in here because there's enough light that gets around it, which is really nice. Unlike our sailboat, it was better described as a man cave. All right, now heading, before we go aft, underneath the door, there's a panel to access. There's a freshwater tank, black water tank, our inverter, our battery charger, and the macerating pump to pump overboard when you're in an area you're legally allowed to. And then outboard of that is where our house battery bank. The bank is 4 golf cart batteries, and they're connected so that it's series for 12 volts. And then there is the start battery, which is just a single 27 series cranking battery. As we head aft, there's the stairwell, cupboard space. It's really deep down there, so be careful what we put in there, it disappears. Bookshelf, another window, and this is a open space into the side of the boat. We're still figuring out organization of that. This step opens. That's where some of my tools reside. Facing forward, that is an access to the stuffing box. And this is the access into the head. That's what they call a wet head. It's sealed. The faucet pulls out to work as a shower, and then it has watertight compartments. And there's the view out the window. The guys will appreciate that you have a great view when you're having a pee. And then the aft is set up as 2 twins with walks through space. It's set up more as a cruising setup as opposed to liveaboard, but what I like about it is it means all of these panels on the floor can be removable, which means you can easily access any of the rain gear for inspection. And if you're out and cruising a lot, it's nice to have to not disassemble before you check things out. So the beds, there is that space on the outside, which has been great for storing overflow clothing. 2 drawers underneath. There is storage access at the back of the beds, the foot of the beds, on both sides. And then we've added some rings on the ceiling, and we use these to hang towels to dry, or as you see, a fishing pole, my hat. And then Anna sets it up with a light microfiber towel that creates a box around this hatch space, so that when we have the hatch open for ventilation, we have some privacy and we don't have as much light coming in. And that's a nice feature. And this is access into what we are referring to the garage. So there's quite a large storage space back there. Also, importantly, access to the rudder stock and the hydraulic drive. Port side forward is the electric and hydronic water heater. There's lines running to the engine. That is the pressurized water pump. That is for the autopilot hydraulic system. That is the tank selection for the fresh water. Above it is a pump for the diesel stove. And down there are the parallel and switchable fuel water separating filters. So it's set up to have a feed from either tank and a vent back to either tank, and it's switchable. Pressure regulator, a pressure gauge, so that we can monitor the vacuum pressure on those filters and know when to switch them out. The red filters back there are also fuel filters, again, redundant, switchable. And there are two on the engine itself, but the fuel is filtered twice before it gets there, so not much to do with them. And this is the Volvo Penta MD47. So it's a marine diesel, specifically designed for marine, and it's a 4.7 liter. It's a inline 6-cylinder with a mechanical fuel pump. This is the hydraulic pump for the winch system. It is dual alternator. The lower one is for the start battery. This is 160 amp for the house battery. This is a hydraulic reservoir for the winch. We are on the starboard side, moving aft. A little bit better view of the engine. And there is the oil dipstick. And at the back is the transmission. This is a capital gear, and it's a reverse and reduction gear unit. It's hydraulic. It is a dry exhaust, so that pipe coming out, and then it's wrapped, and it has a stack it goes into. Those hoses are for the keel cooler. The coolant pumps down into some pipes along the bottom of the boat that are cooled with the fresh water. This is the new Victron charge controller, and we have two panels wired in series for 24 volts and 420 watts. And it's just on a temporary stand until I can build a more permanent solution. So Penta was lifted, pressure washed, and set on blocks. Now I'm going to go through and try and remove any loose material in preparation for doing the anti-foul painting. I also remove the zincs and do a quick inspection. What you can see there is the keel cooler. The coolant is pumped through those so that it loses its heat to the water around the boat. These are the zincs. You can see they were pretty bad. During the painting process, you'll see in a minute I'm mixing paint, and then I start spot painting over bare spots. And what I found when I was rolling later is, as the boat was drying, it would shrink and the anti-foul would just pop off, so I'd get chunks of paint in the roller. It's a very frustrating process. You can also see the prop here hasn't been cleaned and sanded, and I had it all cleaned before I took the boat back in the water. one side's done. Well, almost. We've really been enjoying the change over to Penta. It was a tough decision going from a sailboat to a power boat, but the living space, the comfort, the brightness, the warmth when you're underway, being able to be out of the sun, all of those things have been great advantages, and we've really enjoyed Penta and hope to for time to come.